Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the American Muscle Series as we kick off here for race 10 at Watkins Glen. My name is Randall McGrew. I'm going to be joined in commentary and in the production trailer by Mr. Joshua Wilkie. Watkins Glen is a perennial favorite here for the American Muscle Series. They're doing no bus stop this time around, though, so we're going to have the entire boot without that tricky chicane there on the back straights. We're going to see the highest speeds of the season, most likely. Lots of drafting, maybe a bit of fuel saving. Josh, what do you expect to see tonight out of these Mustangs?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with this place, honestly. I like the track, I like to drive it, but I just never seem to be able to race around here very well. And I think probably the biggest, gnarliest accident I ever had was in the first lap at Watkins Glen, just up through the fencing there. And I believe it was a GTP race, maybe with a bit of mixed cars going around, and pretty much the whole field ended up in that section completely destroyed. And I've seen it happen more than a few times around here. It's a track that I think people race a lot, and they get pretty used to it. They expect something from it, and that's kind of how you get out there and get into trouble sometimes.
I think everybody's got a lap one Watkins Glen story, and if they haven't raced at Watkins Glen yet. So hopefully we can get through the first lap clean here tonight. We're going to jump on board with Evan Hoopchak. He's about halfway through the lap. This is his out lap. They do get 3 bites at the apple to try to get a good lap time. He's going to be doing a lot to try to condition these tires to get them into a good working range from this out lap. We're going to take a look. He's weaving back and forth a little bit, trying to work a little bit of temperature into those tires. Needs to push it just a little bit through this out lap, but not too much. You don't want to overheat the tires. You just want to get a nice little cure on the surface, get them up to temperature as best as you can so you can attack it come the start of your first flying lap. So we're seeing he's be tiptoeing just a little bit through some of these sections where he'll be attacking it in anger in just a couple minutes time. So you're going to keep on board with him. 43 cars registered for this race, 43 drivers registered for this race rather. So it'll be a big field that takes the green flag. We'll see how many of those 43 see the checkered flag. Undoubtedly going to be a lot of bump drafting going on in this race. We'll see if everybody can do it cleanly, as he's now going to set up the final corner here to get a good run off of the corner. You want to get to that throttle as early as possible. Get down that straightaway. Going to stay over here to the left side of the track as he crosses the start-finish line to start his first lap, and start looking to the right for that apex of turn 1. Get hard onto the brakes, get over there, try to hit that apex curb. He's going to run a little bit wide. That's going to kick him off onto this exit curb. You can use a lot of this exit curb, but nowadays if you run all the way past that curb, you do incur an off track. You can see him trying to fingertips drive this way through the S's. He's running a little bit off of the apexes. You see just a little bit off apexes puts him at danger nearly of getting into the wall there at the end of the S's. So it's easy to get it just a little bit wrong and have it end up being a big mistake. He's going to try to warm the tires a bit more. They're going to be braking just past this crest. There's a big bump in the track there that they're going to have to navigate as they're getting to the brakes. And then the long sweeping right-hander that's going to lead down into the chase and to enter the boot section of the track. A very tricky left-hander that's going to catch a lot of drivers out, possibly on the second and even third laps when the tires have a little bit of temperature in them, but not enough to be super grippy. Work your way over the left-hand side of the track as you enter the toe of the boot. And it's a very long right-hander. You can brake a little bit deeper than you think thanks to the uphill nature of it. Use all that track there on the exit. Keep the car over to the left. Then we'll be approaching a very quick right-hander. Going to brake at about the 100, maybe the 150 mark. Into the heel of the boot, and you're going to run nice and wide here. You can really let the car eat all that curb and off into that runoff. Bring the car back over the right-hand side of the track to the trickiest corner of the track. It's a bit of a camber change about halfway through as you cut back onto the cup layout. Can catch some drivers out. It's pretty easy to navigate in these Mustangs. Keep the car to the right, nearly flat out through the penultimate corner. Just a little dab of brake to get the front end to grip. Then you want to have a nice, good entry. It'll set you up for an early onto the throttle once again. Use as much of the track as possible to stay out of that wall there on the exit. Cross the line for a flying lap. We'll see what that does for him. And that's going to put Evan currently P4 on track with a 203, nearly a 204. Luis Henriquez currently provisionally on pole with a 202.9. I expect to see maybe some 202.7s, possibly 202.6s here without the draft. In the draft, they were running about a 201.5, so the slipstream is going to play a huge role here. Now that we've talked a bit about the track, Josh, I think maybe it's time we get some points up there. The points battles are kind of heating up.
Yeah, let's have a quick peek at points here. It's a pretty good lap there for him. You can definitely tell he's out there trying to get those tires warm. I'd imagine it's probably going to take 3 to 5 laps probably to get those tires warmed up. But let's bring up some points in Pro here first. See what we're looking at.
Jack Sanchez continues to lead the way in the Pro Division with a 10-point lead over Luis Henriquez. He did finish second place last week to Luke Sudengay, who is in third place, trying to track down the lead pair. He's got a comfortable margin back to fourth place, Taylor Ballant. Taylor's really come alive in the last part, in the back half of the season, so he's a little bit outside of contention range for the points, but he's going to have a strong season nonetheless, and we'll be looking to challenge the leaders next season. Now, if we jump over to that Challenger division, we got a two-way battle for the lead right now. Jeff Stackel is closing in on Ryan Campbell after that Challenger division win last week, only 4 points behind him. Then we have a huge gap back to Matt Thompson, Charlie Hosey, Levi Powell. Charlie Hosey was looking one of the favorites to win the Challenger division this season, has been struggling this season with a bit of consistency and traffic management. So he's going to look to salvage, maybe get up there to the third step of the podium by the end of the season. He's got 10 points to make up on Matt Thompson. And then if we jump over to the amateur division, and it's the smallest division in the league, but not always the slowest division. We've seen some of these amateur drivers have really good runs. This could be another one of those nights. Dave Blair leading the way with 327 points over Freddie Weaver with 308. Tom Wendt sitting there pretty in third place with 301 points. Sean Johnson, Eli Kloft have a lot of ground to make up if they're going to try to get onto the podium for the amateur division. This could be a race, though, that shakes up the leaderboards in all the divisions.
Yeah, absolutely. This place, as we're kind of talking on the run up there, is I think a lot of people have a lot of experience around here, so there's probably going to be some speed, and with speed comes confidence, and with confidence can sometimes come, you sort of expect things a little bit from a track, and you expect to sort of be up front, or at least you know how to drive it really quickly, and if everybody out there is like that, then it's kind of hard to find placement on the track sometimes, and as we were saying there, sometimes even on lap one, even in the first couple corners, this place can be just treacherous.
Yeah, this is always going to be a slipstream race. Anytime you come to Watkins Glen, it doesn't matter what car you are in and how fast it is. The slipstream is going to be the big deciding factor. So we may see some drivers try to play the long game, maybe try to not lead the way so they can save some fuel. If you're leading the race, you might be doing some heavy lifting and coasting to try to either encourage drivers to pass you, or if they're not going to pass you, at least slow the pace down a little bit so you can save some fuel as well. They will have to stop. They have enough fuel for about 30 minutes of running, so it makes a pretty wide pit window. So we'll see some varying pit strategies. I think the prevailing pit strategy tonight is going to be to run it as long as possible. Maybe try to undercut by 1 or 2 laps. No more than 2 laps. 1 lap undercut is ideal here, though it doesn't always mean you're going to gain that position. You still need to have a real stonker of an outlap.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think pit strategy around here is going to be really important, like you're mentioning with the draft and so on. So, there may be opportunities to sort of pull out of a pack, and if you do it right, then maybe you can link up and get another draft again, or possibly some free air if somebody's holding you up. But picking that moment and not getting stuck in traffic, or potentially having to deal with some lap traffic or something like that could really be a bad move here. You kind of need to be in a bit of a draft pack potentially to kind of stay out front. So we'll see how that plays out and who kind of picks it correctly.
And right now, Jack Sanchez, Luis Henriquez, Luke Sudengay all proving me wrong. They are all in the high 201s. I did not expect to see this kind of pace in qualifying. We saw a lot of times in quality that are in practice that were much faster than this, but they all had slipstream. So it was in no way relevant to what we were going to see in qualifying. Jack Sanchez leading the way with a 201.822. Luis Henriquez less than a tenth behind him, and just more than a tenth behind him, Luke Sudengay. So these drivers all know how to get around here fast. Qualifying times really don't matter a whole lot. It is nice to start at the sharp end of the field because it keeps you out of that mid-pack or the rear of the pack where there's possibly going to be a lot of trouble early in the race. You can avoid the incident. But as long as you can stay in contact with the lead pack, so Fabian Zweyer is going to set a good time because it'd be good for P4 with a 202 flat. As long as you can stay in contact with those leaders, though, you have a shot at the end.
Yeah, I think that's going to be kind of key to it too, is staying in touch with the leaders. You know, I do quite a bit of draft racing in the SRFs, and I think as well as the FFs, draft pretty good. Not as good as the SRFs, but you have to kind of stay with the lead pack in those cars. And around somewhere like this, you know, this car's got a lot of power. It's not maybe usually the most important thing, but around here, like you're mentioning, it's really going to be important around here to make sure you kind of have some drafting buddies to play with.
We'll put a button on qualifying that will set our starting grid. As soon as the official results come through to us, we will have it on screen so you can see exactly who's going to start where. You can start cheering for your favorite driver. Even now, Jack Sanchez sets your pole time with a 201.822, less than 1/10 behind him. Luis Henriquez will start alongside him. Luke Sudengay in third with Fabian Zweyer in fourth. Taylor Ballant starting fifth. Jay Bass is going to start in sixth position. Seventh position, Kevin Buckholz. Chad Sosnowski is going to start at P8. P9, Dave Moore. And then in 10th position is the first of the Challenger drivers, your Challenger pole, Jeff Schnackel, looking to make some moves to get that championship away from Ryan Campbell. P11, Dave Finch. P12, Matt Thompson. P13 is going to be Neil Kemp, and starting next to him, Han O'Toole in 14th. 15th, Brandon Brush. 16th, the best Matt Best. And then in 17th position, Charlie Hosey. Next to him, Chuck Labano in the number 34. He's in one of the Frito Sport cars, and I forgot to mention this. Frito Sport running a special paint again this week. Keep an eye out for them. No bus stop, but we still have buses on track. P19, Mark Cohn is going to take your amateur pole. Starting right next to him, championship challenger Freddie Weaver in 20th. Sam Stoner starting 21st. Andrew Bailing all the way back in 22nd. 23rd, Jeff Andrus. Levi Powell in 24th position. 25th, Andy Smith. 26th, Daniel McConnell. Ryan Campbell going to line up at 27th. And next to him, Aaron That Face Bray in 28th. Matthew Gazinda starting 29th. Ed Sanchinelli, the team principal for Frito Sport, starting in 30th position. 31st is going to be Mark Royce. 32nd, Brandon Smith. Tom Went in 33rd. Mike Neegum starting 34th. 35th, Jeff Bernard. 36th, Scott Brooks. 37th is going to be, wait for it, Dave Blair, your amateur division points leader. 38th, Joe Sacchetti. 39th, Evan Hubchak, who we went on board with, so a little shocked to see him this far back. He must have scuffed his second and third laps. Jay Little starting P40. P41, Eli Clough. Sean Johnson in 42nd. Shotgun on the field in 43rd, John Casey. We have about 40 seconds left. Josh, what's the key to success here tonight?
Yeah, I think, you know, as we were mentioning on the run up a little bit, Randall, it's going to be staying clean. It's going to be trying to stay with a pack of fast drivers and just really keeping your head on a swivel around here. These first couple laps are going to be really important. Find your draft partner and then, you know, try to just make it to the end, get a good pit strategy. That's a lot of things, but that's how it's going to be.
And as I told the drivers in the driver meeting, prayer never hurts. That first lap can be very dodgy for some drivers around here. So we'll see if they're able to make it through clean. But about 5 seconds until we see the lights go on, then the lights go out. Barney's got his green flag in hand, ready to wave it in the air. Any moment now, we're going to see those lights come up. There they are. They're going to come on. And we'll be underway here at Watkins Glen. Jack Sanchez is going to lead the field down to turn one. Green flag is in the air. We are underway at Watkins Glen for round 10 of season 8 of the American Muscle Series. We already see him go 3 and 4 wide. Some drivers, Fabian Zweyer getting a good start. Now he's losing it in the second phase of acceleration. Jack Sanchez easily going to lead the way into turn one. Luis Henriquez is going to lose one spot to Luke Sudengay, maybe another one to Taylor Ballant. Those two were both practicing a lot of the drafting stuff in practice. We'll see if they're able to shake it out as they 43 Mustangs roar their way up the hill. There's a little bit of contact between Taylor Ballant and Luis Henriquez in the S's. They managed to not crash, which is kind of a shock on cold tires with a big bump like that. In a place like that, you expect to see mayhem, but so far, so good. There's a bit of a gap, so somebody had to check up early in the lap, but this is the first time they're coming in to turn 5, and they're looking to go 3 wide possibly, as we have alternate lines left and right. everybody's looking to get some positions here early, and the leaders are starting to pull away just a little bit ahead. So they need to work themselves out, get into a single file line, close that gap up, make sure that lead pair doesn't pull away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty clean start so far. As I said that, wow, I believe that was Jay Best out to the outside there, taking a bit of a grass cutting line, but was able to keep it going on the inside. Now going to be a little bit difficult. Yeah, looks like he got her woed up though, so some pretty good car control there. But pretty clean lap so far. You know, these cars make this place look even narrower than it actually is. I'm surprised that they've been able to make it through here so clean. We got some great driving going for sure. And it's going to be nose to tail like this for a little bit, I think, till we sort out.
Yeah, Luke Sutengay going for a move on the inside for the lead. We see Andrew Bailing looking at the inside. We got a car there that's a little bit damaged. It looks like Matt Best maybe hit somebody that was checking up earlier in the lap. Got some heavy front end damage on that car. Certainly going to affect the straight line speed. We'll see how much it really does. As long as he stays in the draft, he should be okay. Jack Sanchez is going to challenge back again on the penultimate corner for that lead. So they're swapping back and forth. Sutengay is going to have the preferred line coming into the final corner. He's going to close it off before they even get there. So Sanchez leads the way into turn one. Sutengay leads the way into turn one at the completion of lap one. But here comes Sanchez. He's not going to be letting this happen too easily. Should have show the nose and then back out. So Sutengay will continue to lead. I expect we'll probably see Jack Sanchez make a move towards the end of the back straight. As the rest of the field is starting to work themselves out, we have Matt Best and Andrew Bailing still duking it out here with a big check up there for Dave Moore. He's going to have to alter his line. Charlie Hosey going to try to get around Matt here at the same time, too. We'll see if he's able to be opportunistic. So, big slide, big check up, and what a move from Charlie.
Oh no, here we go.
Oh, Charlie Hosey, man, if it's not for bad luck, he wouldn't have had any luck at all this season. Evan Hoopchak is going to crash in sympathy as well, collect a little bit of damage. And it looked like Charlie was absolutely clear of that, but I think what happened is maybe that Matt came back across the track trying to save that car and collected him, and that's going to put a big gap in the field around 15th position. So not the way either of those drivers would have liked to see the race ended. I really hope that Matt Best wore his brown driving suit, because watch the slide he gets going on here. You can see he's a little bit offline, and boy, these S's, you know, they look so simple. You get just a little bit offline, you find out exactly how not simple they are.
Yeah, absolutely. He almost gathered that up there. It was almost such a good save, and I'm not sure who that was there in the... Oh, wow, what a slide. And then he almost squeaked through against the wall there and just wasn't quite able to make that one work. But really good driving from everybody else. You see somebody kind of losing it in the back there as well. I'm not sure who that was either. We'll try to figure that out. But, yeah, actually pretty... You know, usually in that section when somebody loses it like that, you collect a lot more cars. So really good from Matt there to kind of keep it to the inside of the track, kind of mitigate as much damage as he possibly could for everybody else.
As we approach the end of lap 2, Luke Sutengay is going to continue to lead the way, and I wonder if maybe Jack Sanchez is playing a little rope-a-dope here, letting Luke just go on. Go ahead, lead the way. Let me save some fuel. Luke Sutengay leads lap 2. Now serving lap 3. This looks to be a 20-lap affair, though it could possibly be a 19-lap race. We'll keep an eye on it as the pit strategy works itself out. Jeff Schnackle is currently leading the way in the Challenger division in a P9. He's I can't tell if he's up or not. Yeah, he's up one spot from where he started. He did get a little bit involved there when Jay Bass ran wide. It looked like he was going to try to go 3 wide and then wisely backed out. He's got a big points battle on his hands, and he needs to see the end of this race, preferably where he's at or higher. So he leads the way in the Challenger division. We have to look all the way back to P20. Freddie Weaver's continued to make it through. Oh, sorry, correction, P17. Mark Cohn is leading the way in the amateur division, hanging there on the rear bumper of Dave Moore right now. He is currently up 2 spots from where he started. Freddie Weaver behind him, holding station in P20 from where he started. See some of these other amateur drivers mixed in with some challengers. We got some of the buses. Here's one of the buses, Ed Sancinelli of Frito Sport. They are in the Hard Rock School of Knocks, the Rockin' School of Hard Knocks. There, I said it right finally. We've seen one of those buses have to stop for an incident. No bus stop in this race. Yeah, Ed said the bus stops wherever it feels like.
Yeah, I was going to say it would have been pretty fitting, but nope, no bus stop this time, which I'm sure they are thanking their lucky stars for. I don't know about going through the bus stop in these guys for 40 minutes there. It's you know, even a car with really good suspension and lots of compliance there, that can be difficult, and I don't think these things are known for their to be overly compliant in situations like that. But pretty cool liveries there for those guys. I'm gonna go back here and have a quick look at maybe what Charlie Hosey had to see as he was coming through here. We're trying to find out who that white car was. Actually, I thought maybe it was him.
It was Evan Hoopchak.
Yeah, okay, let's see if we can't get a replay from his point of view here.
Yeah, this looks like he spins it simply, or maybe he got checked up and checked up and then got some help from behind, possibly. Is what it looks like. Right. Yeah, he just checked up and got a little bit of help. It is really hard to see through the S's if there's not a lot of tire smoke, which there wasn't for that incident. It is very hard to see in traffic what's going on ahead of you. You're kind of going in there running on faith, as it were. And so when somebody checks up and you're not ready for it, then it can quickly become an issue. As Luke Sudengate is going to go defensive here. I think he's defending some clean air. It's going to cost himself a little bit of time. Jack Sanchez is going to creep up to that rear bumper and going to have to run the outside line all the way through the corner. I don't think Jack is looking too punchy quite yet. I'm not sure why Luke feels the need to defend, but he's going to do it nonetheless. This top group has been kind of sitting line of stern for a while since they sorted themselves out. Jack Sanchez running 2 wheels into the grass there, looking really racy, but not looking like he wants to make a move. Jay Bass having a good race here in 8th position. He did a little bit of landscaping, but now he seems to have gotten it under control, is having a good run at 8th. Anybody in this top group really has a good chance to win this race. Even if you lose a bit of the draft in the pit stop, once the leaders get their elbows out, wild things can happen. It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen somebody in 4th or 5th place win the race here on the final lap. As now it looks like Chuck Labano has joined this lead train. So Chuck Labano back in, well, it says 18th on my screen. He's back in 17th. There we go. He's in 17th position. So we have 17 cars kind of in contact for the lead of this race. Chuck's not really in a position to be challenging for the lead, but he's in a good position to be in contact with that lead draft. There's a bit of a gap there in front of Andrew Bailing. So some closing needs to happen, but this lead group is still being pretty big. Not a huge breakaway yet anywhere on the circuit.
Yeah, no giant breakaways yet. We are seemingly kind of starting to pack out a little bit, and I am a little bit actually surprised, yeah, that Sudengate not kind of allowing Sanchez to kind of get by him and keep that free air, as you call it, kind of going there, so they can keep that momentum going, because it will eventually bring that backpack to them, and then he's going to have to deal with not just 6 or 7 cars or 9 cars, but 11 or 12 or maybe even more, depending on how this goes. And I'm just wondering if, you know, a lot of the racing in these cars just doesn't have to deal with draft quite as often as maybe some of the other categories do, and maybe it's just not really he just hasn't crossed his mind quite yet.
But the draft does play a pretty big role here. If I take a look at the best lap times, they are already running faster than their quality pace in the slipstream, and they have a much more full tank of fuel, which isn't a huge effect on these cars. So the draft is worth a few tenths. And I think what we're seeing is a lot of fuel saving as Chad Sosnowski is going to look to the inside here of Jay Bass, going to get the move done in the toe of the boot. One of the better passing opportunities on the track. We see somebody kicking up dirt, a lot of dirt getting kicked up. Somebody ran away there at the exit, which is very easy to do. Looks like Jack Sanchez ahead. Oh, Kevin Buckles is going to look to the inside of Fabian Zweyer, just showing the nose, letting him know, hey, I'm here, bud. Don't fall asleep. I'll make a move on you. Luis Enriquez with a little bit of a gap in front of him, but all in all, this lead pack is still together. Kevin Buckles with a good run on the cutback to the cup layout. So he's got some momentum. And then Taylor Ballant is going to look to the inside of Jack Sanchez. Jack is going to lift and say, go ahead, bud. And then he's going to pull a bit of a crossover as Taylor Ballant has to drive it in just a little deep there into the penultimate corner. He's going to retain the position. It's going to give a bit of a gap to Luke Sudengate, but that's an illusion. That will go away very quickly. Jack Sanchez is going to stay on the inside. Looks like he's interested in challenging Taylor back for this P2 spot. Taylor trying to work his way up onto the podium for the championship. He's going to run wide in turn 1. This is going to shuffle him way back. He's going to lose 3 or 4 spots because of this. Actually, maybe he might have gotten away with it. He definitely picked up the off track there.
Yep.
Luis led him back in the line, and he was very lucky not to lose 4 or 5 spots off of that one little mistake.
Yeah, definitely being able to stem the bleeding in that very small window that we had there, where he was able to kind of file himself back in, or else he was about to lose a ton of positions there. And I think maybe that comes down to I believe it was Fabian behind him there who's allowing him to do that, as we're seeing some double wide here going into the carousel. Not an easy corner, this one, to get woed up for. You want to take it faster and faster. Kind of getting hung out to dry on the outside is not where you want to be there. I believe that was Luis Hernandez getting sort of hung out to dry there. Now on the inside, having to use a little more tire than you want to this early in the race. You can see him just wrestling the wheel there, trying to get that tighter line done. And it looks to me maybe that's what Sanchez is doing out there. He's being real smooth on the controls and stuff, I've noticed. If somebody wants to get by him, let him by. He'll do a little undercut if it doesn't work, big deal. To me, he's saving fuel and he's saving his tires a little bit, just biding his time waiting.
Absolutely a real cerebral drive coming out of Jack Sanchez right now. That gap ahead is about a second. It was over a second at the beginning. So they're slowly reeling in. Sudengay that drops another 10th. So they're getting that gap closed down. Luis Enriquez did a real good job of defending. He's sticking it on the outside of the carousel like you were saying. And then really have to bound up on the cutback into the boot. That is a really tough line or tough corner to have to take with a tight entry like he did. You saw his hands working like crazy to keep that car under control. The tires will not be happy with that sort of sliding around. So he's going to have to take a lap or two to let him chill out, come back down in temperature. Fabian's Weyer, if he wants to attack, now is the time to do it while Luis is trying to recover some of that tire temperature. But it looks like he's going to be content to sit in line right now. Kevin Buckles has been looking a little bit punchy. He and Chad Sosnowski both. We saw them looking to the inside on the back straight. Now the absence of the bus stop is making them look a little bit racier on the straightaway because they don't have to roll up nearly as early. They have a lot more time to get a move done, and the entry of the carousel is much easier to run through too wide than it is through the bus stop.
Yeah, most definitely. That bus stops, that is a clencher every lap, when it actually is there. You're thinking about pretty much that corner almost every lap, getting through there clean and fast. And it honestly feels like you're getting shot out of a cannon out of there sometimes. You just kind of go through it and wow, you're on the end of it, all of a sudden collecting the car. And that takes a lot of mental acuity, and it takes a lot out of your tire and stuff as well, and maybe even just a little bit of energy too for the lap. So this lap is a lot easier and a lot less stressful without that bus stop in it, even though we do have 3 buses out there at the moment. It looks like Sanchez here still just being real smooth on the inputs and stuff. We were seeing I believe it was Hernandez who, you're right, it took him a whole lap to kind of get that car back into shape again. And looks like Fabian Zweyer was actually kind of feeling a little bit of it himself, wasn't able to monopolize on it at that moment.
And we see Jeff Bernard pulling off to the side there, letting the lead pack go by, really rolling the car up so the leaders had plenty of time to get by. He had to let a lot of cars through because we had to look all the way back to 13th position before this lead pack has a gap in it. So good awareness there out of Jeff Bernard. Levi Powell making a move to the inside of Sam Stoner, and now he's got his sights set on Jeff Andrus, who's going to go defensive into the cutback onto the cup layout, and not going to have a chance to get a move done there is Levi, but he is set up. As you see Jeff Bernard set on the side of the track. Levi Powell making this move to the inside, into the heel of the boot. Textbook move here. He was alongside in the braking zone. Gets the move done on Stoner. Going to set his sights ahead once again on Jeff Andrus, as we are now serving lap 7 out of what is going to be most likely a 20 lap race. We are just about just past 5 minutes, or just about to 15 minutes. Sorry, math is hard. Just about 15 minutes into this race, and not seeing a lot of action up front quite yet. We've seen some drivers toward the middle or to the back of this lead pack try to make their way up front, thinking that they maybe need to get a few positions now while the getting's good. But now that Kevin Buckles has made his way up top 5 ahead of him, they're going to be the 5 hardest drivers to get around cleanly without really taxing the tires.
Yeah, that's something you really got to think about out here in these things is are you taxing your tires too much? Am I going to have some tire left at the end? Or am I going to maybe just take one? We have a couple drivers in the last few races take even a single tire, a left or a right front or a right rear or what have you, which is a little bit just mind-blowing to me, honestly. I'm not sure how that must feel going into the first couple corners till you warm that guy up, but it does seem to work for a few of them. You know, we'll see how that goes today if anybody does decide to blink for tires. I'm a little skeptical that they will. This place shouldn't be too bad unless you've really been pushing it kind of too hard or having some trouble with the track. I think you'll probably be okay with that one, but we're starting to pack up a little bit here now. There is some gaps in between other packs of cars, and people kind of finding their position on track here. Getting a little bit racy with this group here with Levi Powell.
Yeah, the battle for 20th is really heating up. Levi Powell going to get a run here on Jeff Andrews. Jeff had to run a little bit wide there coming through the heel, and it's going to put him off just a little bit. But he will have the preferred line for this tricky corner here that's very nervous. You see how much opposite lock Sam Stoner has to give it as they come across that crest into the cutback, and it really changes camber on you. And oh no, Levi Powell gets the position, but he runs a little bit wide. He's able to wrangle it, keep it on that curb. Now Sam Stoner's going to try to get by on Jeff Andrews. Andrews is going to squeeze him down on the apex there of the final corner and have a good run. So Sam Stoner's going to have to fall back in the line. But here comes Mark Royce to the inside. Going to try to get 1 or 2 positions here in turn 1. He's already alongside Stoner, and he's going to probably get this spot as long as he can get back to the throttle, and he does. So he's going to get 1 spot. Stoner going to fight him back though on the outside. They're going to go too wide through the S's. Stoner playing a little bit of a smart game here, backing out. Going through the S's too wide is a tricky proposition. We saw what happened earlier in the race when they tried that. And so Mark Royce is going to get that. This group breaks up just a little bit, but this is going to give enough space for them to get a bit of momentum build up from the slipstream. So Mark Royce is going to try to close this down as they approach the carousel. Andy Smith quietly having a really good race back here in 18th position. He's got Freddie Weaver knocking on his back door in 19th position. Freddie's currently 2nd place in the amateur division. He's going to look to the inside here on the drive down into the boot. It's not going to get it done, but he is looking racy tonight.
Yeah, that was definitely a little look there for sure. Hard to tell, you know, probably just trying to intimidate a little bit. Something I love to do out there is just try to get into the head of the person in front of you, and that's exactly what you want to do. It's not really, you know, there are passing places around here, but you're going to have to you're going to have to make them work. You know, we were saying in the beginning, a lot of fast drivers here. There's a lot of people who know this track well. They know where that braking point is. It's going to be difficult to get them done. Up through the S's, man, I'm actually kind of surprised watching the cars go through there. Like you said, it seems like almost a non-event going through there, but you know, if you try to get too wide, that wall comes up real close, and you can see them just skating around on the steering wheel, trying to keep the car straight as you're just fully on the power through that section, trying to drag down to the carousel corner there, where probably one of the better passing opportunities on the track. Haven't seen too much happen there yet, but I imagine we have a lot of people out there biding their time, saving some fuel, trying to figure out exactly where they fit in here, and we'll start seeing passes into the carousel.
Taylor playing with a good run out of turn 1 is going to be all over the rear bumper of Jack Sanchez. That gap ahead to Luke Studengay stayed pretty static, so I think Sanchez doing a bit of fuel saving here. He's definitely close enough that he should be able to close the gap up, but has not done it yet so far. So thinking that maybe a little bit of space is going to work best for him, as Belant is going to give him the old bump draft as they approach the carousel. He's going to back out really early, so Belant also saving a lot of fuel. Not sure how much fuel that Sanchez was actually saving there. It looked like he tried to close the gap up a little bit, and it did come down to 0.6. So maybe Sanchez, feeling a bit of pressure from Belant, is thinking, I need to pick up the pace here for a lap or two, try to close this gap up. Maybe that'll settle everybody down. A little bit of a gap behind Luis Enriquez back to Fabian's Way, but not enough really worth mentioning. And this group, all the way back to Neil Kemp, still all together. So 13 cars in this lead draft, as we are serving lap 10, approaching the halfway mark of this race, and just about 15 seconds in time and in laps when they cross the line. That should be the halfway mark, and we see that Mark Royce getting the move done on Sam Stoner once again. So Sam has been able to fight back with Mark here, but now he's going to have his hands full of Aaron Bray and Eli Clough both coming, and Sam's going to push Mark down this short straightaway towards the heel. Not going to look to the inside here. Eager to get away from Aaron Bray and Eli Clough, but Aaron Bray is coming with a head of steam, so we got a big race here for 22nd position forming up. We'll see if Aaron Bray is able to get through some of this traffic and work his way out a couple positions, get some good points out of this battle.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting pretty racy here between Royce and Stoner. They're kind of hammer and tong here, doing some pretty good defensive driving
sorry,
here.
Josh.
Not going to help you. Yeah, go ahead.
I hate to interrupt you, but we do have a taker on pit lane. Chad Sosnowski has come into pit lane. I suspect that he's going to take tires, given that he is pit at exactly the halfway mark of this race. We'll see if the car goes up on the jacks or not. So far, it hasn't, and he's the only one in pit lane. This is going to be disaster for him. This is his first season with AMS,
more takers.
so he's not really going to know what the strategies are. But he's going to end up on a bit of an island, and that's going to mean no slipstream, and he's going to be really struggling to retain that position with the lead pack after everybody comes into pit, unless they do it in the next lap or two.
Yeah, 15 seconds in the box, so no tires there, 47.7 on the entire pit lane. Yeah, he's sort of in no man's land now, and we were so saying in the run-up, you know, I know racing the SRFs and stuff, if you end up like this, and everybody doesn't pit right away, and you don't end up back in that pack, you're done. You'll lose 5, 6, 7 positions if they can all continue to draft. Now that being said, they also have to be kind of drafting efficiently up at the front too. If they start squabbling, then sometimes free air can work for you. So we'll see how it plays out here, but not really sure this is going to be the fastest strategy for Sadowski here.
He's going to have to be running quality pace laps here until the leaders pit, and he's got to hope that they pit in no more than 2 laps time, or he's really going to be struggling. He is going to catch some traffic ahead. It's going to give him a little bit of a slipstream, but it could also give him a hard time in some of the slower bits where he needs to get around them quickly. So it could be a double-edged sword for Sosnowski. Take a look ahead at Scott Brooks. Luke Sutengate continues to lead the way. Jack Sanchez has closed that gap up, so he's got the let out. He thinks he's saved enough fuel, so now he's looking really racy, and he might come into pit. I heard, Luis Enriquez, heavy damage on that car, and you have to wonder if maybe he had some help. Matt Thompson jumps into the pit lane. We're going to see what happens here. He's coming into the penultimate corner, and it sounded like after this corner, he's not wide there, and he runs out onto the curb. He's fine there as well, and then I'm not sure what happened. He picks a hard right. It has to be some sort of hardware failure, absolutely. Yeah. In sim racing, we don't have to worry about mechanical failures with the car, but we do have to worry about hardware failures. Speaking of hardware failures, I did take a quick peek at the Discord earlier, and yeah, the car just hangs to the right. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, and that is not like Luis to just give up in the middle of a race like that. So that had to be connection issue or something going on there. As we see, pit road is getting pretty busy. None of the leaders have come in yet, other than Matt Thompson out of that lead group. He's the only one. We've seen a lot of that second group has come in. Dave Moore's leaving now. Freddie Weaver's in, Andy Smith's in, Aaron Bray, Sam Stoner, Scott Brooks. So we're seeing a lot of takers. We might see the leaders come this time by, maybe in 2 laps time. This could work out for Sosnowski, but he really needs them to pit. He really needed them to pit this lap, but he needs them to pit the next lap for sure. Matt Thompson might actually be in a good position to make up a couple spots if the leaders pit this time by. But look at this. Look at how much this is breaking everybody up right now. Sosnowski's going to have Matt Thompson behind him, so at least retain some of that position, but that was just 1 lap difference. So they were both in that lead pack. Matt Thompson not having the best pit lane time, 15.9. Sosnowski was there for 15.5, so it's a long stop this week for these drivers. And Sosnowski is going to get a nice, that was Mark Royce with a nice 4-wheel drift there coming through the toe of the boot. It is a tricky spot. If you get a little bit wide there, you're going to have to gather it up, and that's exactly what he had to do, because he's now got some relatively clean air, not a big challenge from behind from Eli Kloft, and he's got Jeff Andrews 2 seconds up the road from him. Here come the leaders.
Leaders are in. Yep, we got leaders in. We'll have to take a look at Mark Royce there as well when he comes in, see where he comes out in relation to Stoner and Bray and so on as well, and that other little pack we were keeping an eye on. But this is going to be the important one here for sure.
And we did have 4 drivers stay out. Belantzweyer, Bast, and Schnackle all stayed out. They're going to get 1 more lap in. They will most certainly be in the pits the next time by. But this is the absolute one you would need to watch. These are the ones that need to get it absolutely perfect. Not seeing any car go up on the jacks so far, so it looks like nobody's going to take tires. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to deal with the warm-ups either, especially if you're doing pack racing. That's got to be really, really scary, as Luke Sutengate is going to get rolling again, and he's going to beat Jack Sanchez off the line. So your provisional leader, Luke Sutengate, is going to come out of the pits, and he's going to be buried in the field a little bit. We'll see where this shakes out. Where does Chad Sosnowski work out in all this? He's going to have 1 car, the amateur Dave Blair, between him and the leaders. So Sosnowski Buckholz has made his way up in front of Sosnowski. Actually, Buckholz was in front of Sosnowski at the start of this, so that lead group kind of still together. Sosnowski got a little bit lucky there, was able to make good on those 2 laps of clean air, and looks to be still in contact with the leaders as the rest of the drivers that came into pit lane now are rolling off. Mark Royce is going to come out behind Aaron Bray. He's closed that gap up a little bit. Sam Stoner's fallen off the back of Mark Royce quite a bit here as he's looking to get around Brandon Smith, and he does get around Brandon Smith. Aaron Bray, he had one of the longer stops, and he's lost quite a bit of time because of that. Chad Sosnowski, Kevin Buckholz battling for position ahead of these guys. So that lead pack going to start to recoalesce here. We'll see what the gaps are looking like for those lead drivers, as we're expecting to see Belant, Zwayer, Bass, Schnackle, Powell, Andrus all coming to the pits probably this time by.
Yeah, you would think they're in, and yep, there you go. They are in. So we got the top 4 left are in now, and we'll see where these guys shake out here. This will be a pretty important pit stop. Looks like we're kind of hovering around the 15-14s at the moment, and around 47 to 50 seconds total, I think, was about the longest one I saw there. So pit stop's fairly quick. Nobody going on tires quite yet.
Look at the timing screen. Sosnowski is about five seconds behind Jack Sanchez, with Dave Blair between him and Sanchez. So he's lost a bit of time, and he's going to need some of these drivers to trickle out between him and Sanchez so he has the draft. We'll see how it works out. Waiting to see these drivers get rolling again. There goes Belant. He's the first away. Then Zwayer, Bass, and then Knackle is going to rejoin. And here the leaders are going by right now-ish. There's Sudengay. So Belant going to have the inside line. He's going to retain the lead here. Belant is going to retain the lead after the pit strategy. Fabian Zwayer going to slot into 4th. 5th is going to be Jay Bass. 6th is Jeff Schnackle. Chad Sosnowski is back at 7th position, and he's got about a 3-second gap ahead of him. As Belant is going to go defensive here. They're going to freight train him on the outside. Look at the big wiggle out of Sudengay as he gets a shot on the rear bumper from Jack Sanchez. Jack is going to be eager to get around Taylor here in this corner as well. They're going to both drive it very deep. Sanchez going extra deep. Never going to be able to get that down to the apex curbing on that, but it's going to work out for him. They're both going to put Belant behind them. So back to the running order we had before the pit strategy. The top 3 remains the same. Fabian Zwayer is going to sit in 4th, a little bit back, and then Jay Bass is going to be in 5th position, and he's just outside of contact of the slipstream from these top 4. So we need Fabian Zwayer. He needs to really get on the button and close this gap up so that he can keep this slipstream and maybe force Jay Bass off of his rear bumper. We'll have a 4-way fight for this lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor Belant executing that pit stop. Fastest guy in the field there. I believe it was a 13.5 hold and a 45.3 total in the pit lane, beating everybody by 2 or 3 seconds there. So that would definitely be why he was able to kind of shift forward. Great pit stop from him. Nobody took tires, and we're right back racing here now. It's getting pretty racy out there. You can see they're starting to lean on the car and everything now. So now is the time to start flexing your muscle a little bit, figure out where you want to be. You know, this lead pack needs to kind of pull away from Zwayer here if they want to not have another car in the mix with them, and we'll kind of see how it plays out from here. But I think we're racing now.
We're absolutely racing now. There should be no more fuel saving except for maybe Taylor Belant. We're gonna earmark him for the Thompson Trophy for fuel management. He did have that rather quick pit stop. You have to wonder if he's going to be in fuel trouble at the end of this race. He could be sitting pretty though. He is in 3rd. He did not fight for that lead very hard, so he could be doing a little bit of fuel saving still. He's going to know how much he needs to save, and he's going to have to get it done sooner rather than later. There's just about 10 minutes left in this race. We are looking at it's definitely going to be a 20-lap race. They are serving lap 15 now. That means 5 to go next time by. Sanchez going to make a move for the lead here on the outside. Sudengay going to go defensive into the carousel. We'll have the preferred line, but momentum is on the side of Jack Sanchez right now. He's going to pinch him down and get a good run. And now he will have the preferred line on the run into the boot. This should be able to easily cover off, but look at the run on the outside from Sudengay. He drives it in very deep. A little bit of sparks flying as there's a bit of a touchy there on the exit, but they keep it nice and straight. The little Rubbins racing. Now Sudengay is going to come back on the inside, and a good pinch there by Jack Sanchez kind of shuts down his run because you can brake really late there and get that run on the inside. But if that driver on the outside pinches you down, you have to kind of panic brake to keep that car nice and snug. Now we got a three-way battle for the lead. This is going to bring Fabian Zweyer definitely into this fight, as they're going to continue to run side by side through half of this lap. Sanchez now going to have the preferred line, but the outside line here can carry a lot of momentum if you're bold on the throttle, and the tires are nice and warm at this point. And Sudengay is bold on the throttle. He's going to get a nose and more ahead. He's going to possibly cover completely, as yes, Sanchez is going to dip into the line here for the penultimate corner and maybe think about making a move into the last corner. Yes, he's going to set up. No, just show the nose. He's pushing R1 to intimidate. Sudengay's having none of it so far.
Yeah, there's some great racing there, just panel to panel. They're actually making iRacing spark and take some paint off and stuff. It's not easy to do that in iRacing without, making some sort of an actual tap on the driver beside you. So they've been side by side for about 8 or 9 corners in a row, almost the whole lap there at least anyway. And now we're going into a second lap, still side by side here. Just gonna single file out here, maybe? Nope, we're gonna stay side by side. So not an easy one through here. It's just so tenuous there between Taylor Ballant and Luke Sudengay, and they're able to work it out. And now we're going 3 wide as well with Fabian Zweyer entering the fray here. They've slowed down a little bit with all this squabbling.
A new challenger has appeared. Here comes Fabian Zweyer. Jay Bass licking his chops back there in 5th position. He's saying, keep fighting, boys, as they're going to go 3 wide, possibly into the carousel. Taylor Ballant was looking to get 2nd place, ends up losing 3rd place in all this. So he ends up a net loser in all this. We saw a bit of contact between him and Luke Sudengay going through the S's first on door to door, and then a little bit of bumper to bumper contact there at the very exit. Both of them say, oh, big slide out of Sudengay. That's got to make Zweyer check up. Ballant's going to have the inside here, and it is really kicking off as they're coming up to 4 laps to go.
Yeah, that was a pretty good save there. I was a little bit worried for my camera on that fence there that Sudengay was going to sweep it off with the rear end of the car, but he was able to hold it together there. Pretty awesome driving, and I love seeing these things just slide around like that. They're almost never stable. You're just constantly putting inputs in, trying to keep that car going. 4-wheel sliding it, 2-wheel sliding it. The axles are all over the place. It looks like a blast out there, honestly. Lots of fun. Real driver's car. And you kind of have to play ball with the people around you in this car, or in any car, but especially in one that's going to slide around like this. Take a little bit more coaxing to kind of get it doing what you want to. And we're just seeing some amazing driving out of everybody here. Hopefully we can keep her clean till the end.
Yeah, we have the suspension and drivetrain of a horse-drawn carriage in the rear of these cars with that live axle and leaf springs. So it's going to be very easy to get the rear end to step out. And once it gets stepped out, it's hard to reel it back in. But like they always say, loose as fast as Jack Sanchez is going to initiate a bit of an Iberian snake going down the front straightaway, trying to break up that slipstream a little bit. Maybe try to unsettle some of these drivers, because now Jay Bass is coming onto the scene. He's 1 lap away from being involved in this battle for the lead. So Sanchez eager to kind of push these guys back to make them fight more so that he can get a bit of a breakaway, but so far it hasn't worked out for him. Luke Sudengay slowly closing that gap, and now we hit the big straightaway. Sanchez is going to go very defensive, hugging the inside white line. Now he's going to move over to try to break up that slipstream. Ballant is going to get over before, and here comes Sudengay on the inside. Can he outbrake him? He's going to have a nice deep run, and they're both going to run just a little bit wide, but it's still nice and clean. Sudengay not going to be able to get this move done, but he's going to put the pressure there on Jack Sanchez to let him know you're not going to be able to trick your way into this win.
Yeah, totally, and that's exactly what you have to do to somebody like Jack Sanchez here, is you have to start putting the pressure on him, or he's going to run away with it. Unfortunately, it looks like, you only get maybe a stab or two at an opportunity like that. Somebody like Taylor Ballant's going to be right up your chuff, just like he is here. So you take a stab, you better make it work, or else you're going to end up going backwards a little bit. We know that Sanchez is going to keep charging forward, and any move that's not successful basically is going to you're going to be basically meat for the people behind you, and that's kind of what's happening right now here. But really good defense there from Sanchez, and some great driving as well. I'm just noticing here, you can see our fastest times at 2:01. If you look at our last lap times, we're starting to look at 2:02s, even closer to 2:03 now. So that's why we're starting to see people catch up this lead pack of drivers.
Yeah, they're fighting. It's going to definitely cost them some time. Tires are a bit worn as Jack Sanchez is going to defend into the penultimate corner. This is a tricky spot to try to get a pass then on the outside. Luke Sudengay not going to be able to hang alongside. He will have the inside line on Ballant there coming through the final corner as we see the cars. And look out, cameraman, they're going to be coming quick. is now they're coming to 3 laps to go this time by, and this keeps heating up. Fabian Zweyer showing his nose on the inside. Jay Bass firmly into this battle now. So we have a 5-way fight. Who's that back there? 6. Jeff Schnackle could be in the catbird seat. And let me tell you, the last spot I want to be right now is in Taylor Ballant's car in 3rd place, because if the leaders start fighting, you have to pick your poison. Who am I going to go with? Who do I think is going to win this fight? And if they start banging off each other, you have no time and no space to react. Because right now he's going to follow Luke Sudengay, maybe give him a little bit of shot in the bumper. This could be what gets it done for Sudengay. Looks like everybody's done fuel saving, as you see the big wiggle there out of Sudengay as he gets that shot. And it's going to put him very much nearly clear of Sanchez as they enter the carousel. Sanchez is going to hang tough there on the outside, but it's not going to be enough. Or is it? Sudengay going to have the outside line here. Sanchez is going to have to outbrake him into this corner. He's got a nose there alongside, so he's demands a little bit of respect there. He's got the championship respect out of the defending champion, Jack Sanchez. He's going to cross over and make a move possibly here in the toe. He's not going to be close enough to get it done as Sudengay slides down in front of him. New leaders, Luke Sudengay, as now Taylor Ballant is looking punchy behind Jack Sanchez. Here comes Zweyer, here comes Bass. They're going to try to freight train him on the inside into the heel. It is kicking off way earlier than I expected.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of, I was thinking while you were talking there about Fabian Zweyer probably being in at least the less stressful position right here. He can just kind of watch, like you were saying. He doesn't have to make a move, but he surely can if one presents itself. And it looks like it's starting to begin to present itself here if he just makes the right move. Everybody is racing very kind of tentatively and kind of cerebral at the moment. You can tell. They're not just jiving up the middle. They're not hitting the brakes super hard. They're sort of waiting. They know it has a few laps left here. I believe it's 2 laps left now. We're coming up real close to the end here. But that's going to be the one you want to wait for. You want to wait for that lap. You don't want to end it all here as we see Jay Best actually pushing Zweyer now, getting him up into the fight. This is going to get pretty racy, pretty fast here.
Absolutely. We saw Barney with 2 flags there rolled up and displayed to the drivers that indicate 2 laps to go. Luke Sudengay continues to lead the way with a half-second gap over Jack Sanchez, who has another half-second gap over Taylor Ballant as they try to work out who's going to be in 3rd position. Next time you see the cars in this position, though, do not expect to see them single file. Do not expect to see them playing nice. The elbows will be out. The gloves will be thrown out the window. The daggers will be firmly clinched in everybody's teeth as they go for the win here. Jeff Schnackle sitting in a good spot back there in 6th place. If it all starts to kick off really violently, he could sneak away with a win here.
Yeah, totally. I was thinking that as well earlier when you mentioned it. He's just kind of back there. This is a big pack of cars, and I have seen, very easily on this track, you can have one car kind of spin like we saw earlier and take 4 or 5 out. And that could very well happen here, especially since we are getting so racy. A few different skill levels of driver here, too, that we don't usually see right up at the front. Jay Bass having an amazing run up here in 5th place right now, and I'm sure he's just loving this. And any position he can get from here is just another massive gain for him, right? So him and Zweyer are kind of in the best position right now. Just pick off some drivers if you can is what I'd be thinking. And, the 3 in the front, Sudengay, Sanchez, and Ballant here, it's hammer and tong. You want to get this win today.
Yeah, I just did a bit of administrative privilege and sent a message to Tom Witt, who these drivers are coming up on, to be heads up, because here come the leaders. They are only 3 seconds behind Tom right now, and they're coming to take the white flag. They are sliding through this corner, and they're coming up to the penultimate corner. It looks like Sudengay got a bit of a good run out of there. He's going to open up the gap a little bit as we see Tom Witt now coming through the last corner, probably going to pull it over on the straightaway, hopefully to let these drivers by. Yeah, see some brake lights, maybe even taking the pit lane. Doesn't want to get involved at all in this. Good move, Tom. Thank you so much. Way to be a sportsman as they take the white flag. White flag is in the air. It's anybody's guess who's going to come out in front when the checkered flag flies. Here comes Taylor Ballant trying to keep the pressure on Jack Sanchez. That gap ahead is up to 0.6 seconds. Jack Sanchez is going to have to get the lead out here to close the gap up to Luke Sudengay, or he's going to have an easy win. Jay Bass is going to get the move done there on Fabian Zweyer, so he's going to be up 1 spot, but Fabian going to be in a prime drafting position here coming down the big straightaway. Jeff Schnackle has joined the tail end of this group, so all this fighting and all this battling has brought Jeff Schnackle into the fight as well, as Ballant is going to look to the inside of Sanchez coming up to the carousel. Will he be able to get the move done? Will Sudengay be able to pull away because of this fight? A bit of a hip check there against Sanchez. It moves him outside just a little bit. Sanchez not going to be happy about that. We might see a return of favor coming into the cutback into the boot. Sanchez not quite there, but is still firmly in third place as Ballant tries to track down Sudengay. Sanchez tries to track down Ballant. We're going to see how this all shakes out. The top three have broken away quite a bit here on this last lap. Taylor Ballant is there at the rear bumper of Luke Sudengay. Give him a little nudge, let him know it's time to race, buddy. So Ballant going to make a move. These two practice fighting the entire time in practice, so they definitely know how to race with each other, as Luke Sudengay is going to lead the way into the heel. He's just got 3 more corners to go. Can he keep it together for a second win in a row, his third of the season? Does it come through that tricky camber changing corner back onto the cup layout and approach the penultimate corner? Looking pretty good so far for Luke Sudengay. He's got to get a bit of a gap back, 4/10 back there to Taylor Ballant, as Jack Sanchez is all over Taylor's rear bumper. He's going to run it wide and maybe look to the inside here in the final corner. He's going to get his nose stuck in there, and is he going to come out in front? There's going to be a drag race for second place. Luke Sudengay going to come home and take the win, and Ballant did run out of fuel. We're going to have to award him the Thompson Trophy for fuel management, as Luke Sudengay gets another win, his second in a row, his third on the season. Jack Sanchez comes home in second place. Jay Bass third. Fourth place, Fabian Zweyer. Jeff Schnackle, your Challenger Division winner, comes home in the top 5 overall. What a race for Jeff Schnackle. Let's try to get back to Mark Kona. He's already crossed the line. And Mark Kona is going to be your winner for the Amateur Division, as we see some drivers. Dan Ott there in the background. He's like, I'm done.
He's over it for the day, I think that Dan is there. Yeah, for sure. Pretty good drive from Dan as well today there. It's not an easy track out there, and we had a lot of big packs of drivers. What a great last few laps there for sure. I'm really surprised. Sanchez just so good through one section of the course there, being able to keep the car so tight on the inside line, and just wasn't able to get it done. If you can't get it done down that last straightaway into the heel, it's kind of over by that point. You might get lucky if somebody makes a mistake, but drivers like Sudengay here not making too many mistakes like that. So got some clean cars here up at the front. Really good racing, man. That was a really great race from everybody all around. And for Jay Bass up in the third place, he got a podium today. What a run for him.
Yeah, Jay Bass very quietly had a good race. We saw him cut some grass early on in the race, and then he just kind of held the station, kept his cards close to his chest, and he was there at the end, which is when you need to be there. Gets that third position. Taylor Ballant, despite running out of fuel, still finishes in fourth position, so a good run out of Taylor, and he was looking really racy. You have to wonder if this had been a 45-minute race, who would have won it? I think they would have been continuing to fight for that last 5 minutes. Matt Thompson with a solid top 10 finish in the Challenger division. Finishes second place in Challenger, top 10 overall. That's got to be a huge victory for anybody with a blue number to finish in the top 10 in a pack like this. Chad Sosnowski, he ended up finishing in 8th place despite being the first one to come into the pits. I had to think that maybe he would have been challenging for the top 5 if he had come in with the rest of the leaders instead of pitting so early.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. He did look like he had some pace today, and that strategy probably just didn't really play off super well for him, unfortunately, there at the end. But really like that super red paint job. Makes the slow motion broadcasting logo look amazing. We're seeing Luke Sudengay get some donuts done there, and as soon as everybody gets in here, we'll try to get some results going, get some interviews happening here. But what a race around Watkins Glen. We had a pretty clean opening there. A little bit of a mess up at the beginning, but everybody was able to get by it for the most part, and then packed out for a little bit, and then some really good racing there for about the last 10 or 15 minutes at the end. Just some really close quarter stuff. Watkins Glen showing us a good race.
Absolutely, and you're right. It's totally rare that we have a wreck early on in the race in the S's that doesn't take out a bunch of drivers. Yep. They got to lap 2 before that happened, and it only took out 3 or 4 drivers, so not a huge wreck. It did break up the field a little bit, but not really more than it would have. Anyway, as we see Mark Cohn getting some of those victory donuts in for winning the amateur division. As soon as we get those official results in, we'll have them up on screen to go through them with you, and then we got some interviews to do. I see Luke Sudengay is there in the waiting room, Jeff Schnackle waiting for Mark Cohn to be in there as well. So they're going to be very happy to talk to us. Luke Sudengay, again, your winner by 0.8 of a second over Jack Sanchez. Jay Bass comes home in third place, and despite running out of fuel, Taylor Blant brings it home in fourth place. Fabian Zweyer in fifth place. I'm not sure how this order changed, because Jeff Schnackle, no longer in the top 5, now is going to finish in P6. Kevin Buchholz in 7th. Chad Cisnowski in 8th place. David Finch in 9th. Matt Thompson rounds out the top 10 and is in the top 10 as a challenger. That's a huge finish. Andrew Bailing in 11th. Dave Moore quietly had a pretty good race as well. He was in the second pack. He finished in 12th. Neil Kemp in 13th. Mark Cohen, your amateur division winner, finishes in P14. Dahan O'Toole, who we saw javelin into the tire barriers there in turn 1 after the end of the race, comes home in P15. Andy Smith in 16th. Levi Powell in 17th. Freddie Weaver had himself a really good race too. Comes home P18. 19th is Aaron That Face Bray. Eli Cloft also having a really good race, going to round out the top 20. Seeing any amateurs in the top 20 is always a phenomenal finish for them, so good race for Eli. 21st, Sam Stoner. 22nd, Chuck Labano. Mark Royce in 23rd. Jeff Andrus 24th. 25th is going to be Ed Sanchinelli. Dave Blair, your championship leader in the amateur division, is going to come home 26th. That's going to be a big shakeup on the points there. Mike Neekum finishes 27th. 28th is going to be Sean Johnson. 29th, Jay Little. Scott Brooks in 30th. John Casey 31st. He started 43rd, so he's up 12 spots from where he started. So good race for John Casey. Matthew Gazinda 32nd. Brandon Smith in 33rd. And he's the first car at one lap down. Then we see Tom Wendt, who we saw take the pit lane there when the leaders were coming heads up and moved out of. Tom Wendt there in 34th. Jeff Bernard 35th. Luis Henriquez, who we saw have that hardware failure or whatever happened, maybe a visitation by a ghost, scared him into the wall, in P36. Joe Sacchetti going to finish in 37th. Evan Huchak, who we saw get involved in that lap 2 wreck, finishes 38th. 39th, Ryan Campbell. That's going to be a big dent in the championship there for the challenger division. Charlie Hosey, we saw him involved in that lap 2 scuffle, going to finish 40th. 41st, also Matt Best, who almost had that car saved, didn't quite get it saved, comes home 41st. Brandon Brescia 42nd. 43rd, Daniel McConnell. And that is all of our finishing positions there. That's a big field to go through. And Josh, I think I'm gonna be very happy to talk to the winner for 2 weeks in a row, and for the third time this season, Luke Sudengay. Boy, you have really figured something out here.
I don't know what, but yeah, that's fantastic. You know, my second half of the season has kind of always been the stronger half for me. So, yeah.
Apparently so, as we're seeing a bit of on the replay. It's what happened here at the start. It looks like somebody got collected at the beginning of this race, but you moved into the lead very early on. Did you worry that maybe Jack was playing a bit of rope-a-dope with you, letting you lead the way the entire time and burn up all your fuel?
Possibly. That thought certainly did cross my mind, but you know what? If he's going to let me have it the first lap and just let me do my thing for a while, I'm totally okay with that.
So when you saw Taylor come out of the pit lane ahead of you, what was going through your head that he had jumped you on the pits?
I kind of assumed that was going to happen after I realized he had stayed out another lap. And yeah, coming down the start-finish straight, I'm like, oh boy, where's he going to come out? Is he going to come out ahead, behind? Where are we at? And then when I saw him come out almost right next to me, I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to have a good run coming up the S's, and hopefully I'll be able to get him before the carousel. And I did, thankfully, with the help of Jack.
So I have a task for you, Luke, that I'm going to need you to do before the next race. I need you to do it now and then report back to me before the next race. I need you to go weigh yourself after this race to see how much water weight you lost, because those last 5 or 6 laps, man, they looked nerve-wracking. Everybody was fighting left and right in that lead pack, and that lead pack just kept getting bigger.
Oh, don't tell me. I think I'm pitting out. Yeah, I probably should go weigh myself and hydrate a little bit now. Yeah, like every race, kind of all hell breaks loose after the pit stops, and boy, did it ever this race. Holding off Jack and Taylor, and even Fabian was up there, I think, for just a little bit, fighting. And yeah, man, I really had a workout tonight.
there was a lot of heavy hitters that you were racing around all night, and you held your own so much that you came home with the victory. 2 in a row, 3 on the season. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we let you go celebrate?
I want to shout out Jack and Taylor for just being clean racers. I mean, I felt a little bit of bumping and banging, but you know what? That's to be expected. And I know sometimes some of my turns I don't have a kind of a normal line or a normal throttle input or anything, so I expected a little bit. But you know, close racing, clean racing, that's what this league's all about. So thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again, and maybe there's 3 more or 2 more races left. Maybe we'll get to talk to you one more time.
That would be awesome.
And that was your overall winner and the Pro Division winner, Luke Sudengay. And Joshua, do you want to talk to Mr. Schnackle?
Yeah, sure, why not? Jeff, looked like a great race out there today. You were able to take the win. How'd you end up doing that? Was it a big draft race out there? Were you trying to find a drafting buddy with yourself there, or was it just kind of free air and fairly easy one for you?
No, if you didn't have a draft buddy, you were kind of hung out to dry. Luckily, I was able to hang on to J Bass there for pretty much the entire race. I dropped back off him there with I think like 4 to go, and then the lead pack started the fight, so it kind of brought me back up in the end. But yeah, no, if you didn't have a draft buddy, you were kind of SOL this week.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about on the run up there. You sort of need to find a drafting partner. We're also talking about kind of tire wear and stuff too, getting them up to heat and then making it to the end. Was it kind of hard to get them up to heat in here? I know it's a little easier, you know, at the bus stop you can actually put a little more heat into the tire per lap perhaps, but were you guys kind of struggling at the end? Were you thinking about taking tires, or was it a fairly easy one on tires this time?
I was debating on taking a front left just to help me kind of right after the back straight there, but I ended up just taking no tires. They actually felt fantastic still at the end. I did see some of the front packs starting to get loose in the tighter section, kind of in sector 3, but for myself personally, the tires actually still felt great at the end.
Interesting. Yeah, you're definitely right. We were watching the front pack there. It was starting to get a bit loose. They were battling pretty hard, and I think that's probably why asking a bit much of the tire there near the end of the race. But great win today. Is there anybody you'd like to thank out there?
Yeah, to shout out to my wife. She lets me do this every week. She puts up with it. And then my co-pilot, my dog, is by my side again in the bed next to the rig, so he definitely he helped me again this week get me the division win.
Awesome, right on. I got a little buddy helping me out by my rig too. So great win today, Jeff, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You too.
Hey, before we let you go, Jeff, just go ahead and get a red number plate on that dog for next season, because pretty sure you're gonna be up in the Pro Division.
There you go.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear any guff.
No, I wanted to see how I'd fare out in Challenger, but no, I'm ready for it.
All right, congratulations, bud.
Thanks, guys.
That was Jeff Schnackle, your Challenger Division winner in what we thought was going to be a top 5, but it actually finishes in 6th place overall. Still a great finish for him. And now we have Mark Cohn, Amateur Division winner. Again, Mark, tell us what it was like out there for you. I hear maybe you weren't expecting some dry conditions today.
Yeah, I had seen on the server all week it said 100% rain, so I was practicing rain only because I thought, okay, it's going to rain. Then I find out this morning it's dry conditions. I practiced my first laps this afternoon and definitely learned a lot. It was not easy. I did not expect this whatsoever.
So yeah, they do re-roll the conditions the day of the race because they don't want anybody practicing the conditions. Weather's one of those fickle things, you know. But good job adapting. Good job coming home with the Amateur Division win. We got 2 more races left in this season. Do you think maybe next season you'll be looking to make your way up to that Challenger Division?
I'm always up for a challenge, no pun intended. So I'm, just happy to be here. Did not expect to be anywhere near where I am now. So I'll take anything I can get. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Sorry, a little late there on that drum roll, but good pun. So I know you got a lot of people to thank, so let's get to that. Mark, your favorite part of the interview. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out after your win here?
Yeah, of course. Josh, all you guys at Slow Motion Broadcasting, Randall for letting me race here. Nizumi Studios, they've been supporting me for a while. SimLab, Still can't believe they're on the car. Sim Gaming Expo. Check them out. Chicago, September. You don't want to miss it. Sam Maxwell Customs, Dewar's Candies, Sim Racing Studio, Yaza Sandwiches, and more. And Matt Wagner, Mark Murphy, Charlie Jose, all the guys that have been supporting me through this.
Well, excellent win today, Mark. And you got 2 more chances to be in the interview booth. We'll see if you can make it happen.
Thanks. We'll definitely try.
And that was your amateur division, Mark Cohn. He's really made a mark here in the amateur division. He joined us about halfway through the season, and he's got a lot of wins under his belt in a short time. So, Josh, man, it was an exciting night tonight. Well, what do you think about Mustangs and Watkins Glen?
Yeah, that went really, really well, to be honest. You know, every time I go to Watkins Glen, I'm a little bit worried. I get a little bit scared because of the accidents I've had here and that I've seen here. But everybody did really, really good today. That was a great race, and they raced really well around here as well. It's super fun to watch these things. You know, I'm gonna have to get behind the wheel of one of them sooner than later here. It just looks like a blast out there, having to kind of just deal with how loose the car is all the time and oversteery and so on. But amazing race up at the front and all around. Great for the winners today, and I believe we're headed to Navarra next weekend for some more challenges. Or next week, sorry.
Absolutely, we are. Next round will be in Navarra. Speaking of upcoming races, though, we got a few of them here on Slow Motion Broadcasting for you throughout the week. Of course, as always, on Tuesdays nights, be right here at this same bat time, same bat channel for the American Muscle Series. 2 races to go left in this season. Next week, they'll be taking to Navarra. Then on Wednesdays, we have a double header lined up for you. First, Ray Esports Club Racing League at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then the Sim Racers Group in the F4s at 9:45 p.m. Eastern. Then you have to wait a few days for the weekend to come. But once the weekend gets here, it is absolutely action-packed. Saturdays at 3:20 p.m. Eastern, you have the Weekend Warriors in the Formula Vs. Then on Sundays, you have a Weekend Warriors doubleheader with the Formula Fords kicking off at 1:45 p.m. Eastern, and then right after them, with a little bit of a break to let everybody switch over to other cars, you have the Spec Racer Fords at 3:45 p.m. Eastern. But that's not all. Sunday evening, check out the Cross Series League Racing XSLR. They run all 4 disciplines of driving on iRacing in this league. So if you're going to win the championship, you have to be good at all of them. Check them out on Sunday evenings. While you're at it, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know every time Slow Motion Broadcasting goes live with more racing action. I'd like to thank very quickly here the league sponsor, D-Nut Stuff on Etsy. Go check out the D-Nut Stuff Etsy shop for brake mods, for pedal mods, for everything for your rig cup holders. You can get laser etched PDFs. You can get
one of those.
AMS. You can get AMS swag. Go get some league swag. Go get a laser etched coffee tumbler. All kinds of cool stuff over there on the Etsy shop. So go check them out. And one quick word about my broadcasting partner, Andre Grandbouche. Please keep him in your thoughts and prayers as he's dealing with a little bit of issues on his side. Hopefully we'll have him back next week, but we are definitely keeping you in our thoughts, buddy. Hope everything works out for the best. And that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here on Slow Motion Broadcasting and watching the American Muscle Series at Watkins Glen. Have a great night. Have a great rest of your week. Keep tuned here on Slow Motion Broadcasting for more racing action. And until next Tuesday, I'll see you later.
Bye.